Well, they don't call me Rev. There's only one Rev. But I am nevertheless happy to try to follow Dave. I too congratulate and thank all of you for being here. The Boonville community has a big heart, for sure. I came to Boonville with my wife Laura and my 3 children about 23 years ago. This is where my children grew up and went to school. Little did I know that it would become my home, but it did. On your program, and you heard Dave Swindell mention, you'll see the reference to Our Town, Our Kids. The inspiration for that is a book that was published in 2023 jointly by a Young Life area director, somebody who was serving in the role that Dave once did, and a committee chairman. And the title of that book was Our Town, Our Kids. The book is about the ups and downs and joys and challenges of working in partnership with a community to care for the spiritual life of the kids in the community. Caring for the spiritual life of kids in our community sounds like a tall order. After all, isn't that something that's the job of the parents or the church or someone else? But we all know that there are many, many children in all communities who never see the inside of a church and don't know Jesus. And there are kids who participate in faith-based activities who are not walking with Jesus. And that includes children from all kinds of families in all kinds of circumstances. Our middle school and high school students today are often lost. They lack a sense of who they are and a purpose for their life. They are under influences that are intense and pervasive. Social media, year-round sports, pressure to be perfect, and old-fashioned peer pressures, just to name a few. And they're living in a society that is changing so rapidly, it is hard for them and for us to keep up. Growing up has never been easy, but it may be harder today than it ever has been. The object of Young Life is to come alongside students where they are, without judgment, and share the love of Christ through genuine friendship and mentorship from a caring adult or student leader, and to continue that friendship regardless of the student's response to the gospel message. Young Life is a model for a community to take responsibility for giving all students an opportunity to know Jesus and discover purpose and meaning and constancy in their life, to know they are loved regardless of their circumstances and capabilities, and to know that success and failure and peaks and valleys are a part of everyone's life, but the love of Jesus and the promise that he has given us is constant. You've heard a good bit about how that works tonight and how it once worked here. I became involved in Young Life about 10 years ago. I got involved out in Posey County. I had a friend who asked me to sponsor a foursome to their annual golf scramble. And I didn't know anything about Young Life when I went there. But I went there, and every year they would have 1 or 2 students who were giving testimony, talking about how their life had been changed by Young Life and coming to know Jesus. I found myself wishing that Young Life had been there when I was in school. It caused me to get involved. It caused me to want to be a part of this group, bringing Young Life back to Boonville. One of the major points made in the book I mentioned earlier is that Young Life does not do the work, and Young Life is not responsible for our kids. Young Life is a vehicle for us as a community to use to reach our kids in our town. Now, I want to pause here for a moment, and I want to ask all of the people who are on this inaugural Boonville Young Life Committee to stand wherever you are. Please stand and remain standing for a minute. And I want to ask Courtney Obermeyer to stand also, if you would. Courtney, by the way, is the Young Life Associate Regional Director. Courtney grew up in Newburgh. She graduated from Castle High School. She's been in Young Life pretty much ever since. She and her husband have just moved back to Newburgh. She's a tremendous resource, and we are grateful for her help. These people who are standing and who are wearing the black t-shirts, for the most part, as you've heard, they are people who were involved in Young Life here at Boonville High School 20 to 25 years ago. Amazing how that time can pass so quickly, isn't it? 20 to 25 years. Thank you. Thank you all for standing. You may sit down. There are other Boonville Young Life alumni who are already helping with this effort, and there are several out there among you this evening. They know firsthand what Young Life can mean to a student because, like the former Boonville Young Life leaders that you heard give their testimony earlier, they know what it has meant to them. Our dream for Boonville is to create a genuine movement here in Boonville to care for students, our town, our kids. We dream of making Young Life a part of the fabric of this community. We dream of a broad-based, grassroots community effort in which everyone wants to participate in some way. We dream of many volunteers, student leaders, adult leaders, and financial contributors. We dream of students at Boonville Middle School and Boonville High School having the opportunity to experience the love of Christ through a friendship with their Young Life leader. We dream of giving every student an opportunity to participate in club and campaigners and go to camp. We dream of high school students coming alongside and mentoring middle school students. And we dream of college students and young adults, and that includes young at heart adults, coming alongside and mentoring and leading high school students. We dream of every student having the opportunity to know and accept Jesus as their Lord and Savior. That is what we are dreaming. It's a big, bold dream. But your presence here tonight is answered prayer. We believe God is blessing this dream, and He is working here in Boonville. Still, you might say, who, me? And if that's the case, think about this quote from an unknown but obviously thoughtful person. I wondered why somebody didn't do something. Then I realized I am somebody. All of you, all of us, are potentially a part of this broad-based community support, this movement. And all of you know 3 or 4 other people who you can invite to become a part of this movement. And those people know 3 or 4 other people. And well, you get the picture. In fact, right now, I would like to announce that the 2025 Boonville Young Life Banquet will be the 3rd Sunday in October of 2025, which will be October 19th. Please mark your calendar and be thinking about who you can invite to come with you next year to join us in this movement. We can do this together. We can only do this together. We need cheerleaders, ambassadors, event planners, student leaders, adult leaders, committee members, people to pray, cookie bakers, financial donors, and hosts for leader training and leader education events. We have a lot of work to be done and a lot of people who need to be loved on. Each of us, each of you, has different gifts and different ways that you can help. We are just getting started, but by next year we will be visible at Square Flair, at Taste of Pride, and other such community events. You will see Young Life leaders spending time with students at places like Tasty Freeze, trickies, and at school activities. We want to be able to hire an area director who is essentially the equivalent of an executive director of our Boonville Young Life area and who can devote full-time working effort to the ministry. But the area director can't do it alone. Not without us, not without you. All of us have lives and responsibilities to which we must attend, and none of us can do it all, but each of us can do our part. It takes action. It takes some level of commitment. That is why we are here, and that is what we are asking of you this evening. Now let me talk to you a minute about our budget. Cora, can you put that up there? You can see there that the top two items, salary and insurance, are basically the cost of our having a full-time area director. Young Life, it's a substantial part of the budget. Young Life is a relational ministry, and we are investing in a person to help build those relationships and to recruit, teach, support, and oversee students and adults who are leaders and who are interacting with students. Next item is program expenses. That's food and supplies for club and campaigners and contact work. There's a line item for training expenses. Training is an important part of Young Life for leaders and staff. And there's a fundraising line item. It costs money to put on a banquet or to put on a golf scramble to generate the financial investment that it takes to run this ministry. And finally, there's a part of the budget at the end that goes to National Young Life Services for accounting, legal, and insurance. Now, that total number seems like a lot, $121,600. But it also reminds me of the old saying about how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, and they all have to be eaten. Let me show you what I mean by that. This is a giving pyramid. This shows varying levels of financial commitment. Based on studies that Young Life has done, this is the kind of distribution that one might expect in a community like ours to generate the total funding for our work. We have gotten a start on that. As of tonight, coming into this banquet, we have pledges or payments of $41,084. We have had one donor who stepped up and filled that top level commitment of $20,000 to the students in our community. To think of it biblically, think of what Paul said in Acts chapter 30, verse 35. Now, Paul, perhaps the master of contact work, was traveling among and visiting with early Christians in the region of Ephesus, which is now Turkey. He had been there multiple times. His time there was coming to an end, and he was bidding the people farewell with the expectation that he would not return. He reminded them his objective and theirs was not to accumulate riches. And then he said, I have shown you in all things that by working hard in this way, we must help the weak, remembering the words that the Lord Jesus himself said, there is more happiness in giving than in receiving. Now, at your table, each of you has a packet. And in that packet is a pledge card. Cora, can you put a picture of that, one side of that pledge card up on the screen, please? I want to walk through that pledge card with you, and I want to begin with the back of the card where you can tell us how you might like to be involved. Volunteer leader. Do you want to be involved with mentoring middle school and high school students? Do you have a passion for that? Committee. Are you interested in joining this group and serving as the backbone of this local ministry? Give financially. I'm going to talk to you more about that when we flip the card over. Keep me in the loop. Do you want to sign up to receive regular email report about ministry activities and goings-on? Family camp. Do you have children ages 4 through 14 with whom you would like to experience a 3-day Young Life camp, usually held over Labor Day weekend in Georgia? We can make that possible. Golf scramble. Perhaps you might be interested in being part of a group that would put on an annual golf scramble to help generate financial commitment for our ministry. Meet for coffee. Maybe you've heard something here tonight that you want to know more about, or you want to talk about more about how you could get involved, and you want to talk with somebody on the committee. Just let us know. Now let me ask you to turn your pledge card over to the other side. I want to ask you, first of all, on that side, to fill out the contact information at the top half of the card. We want to know who you are. We want to know how to contact you and stay in touch with you. Also, let me remind you, as it says in the middle there, that Young Life operates on a fiscal year basis. The fiscal year is October 1st through September 30th of each year. So we're just started on this 2024-2025 fiscal year. Next there, you will see a place to indicate what your total pledge for that fiscal year will be for the entire year. We encourage you to do that. Now, we'll take payment, of course, anytime, anyway. So if you want to go ahead and pay that annual pledge this evening, whether you write a check or do it online, please do that. But we also recognize and encourage monthly or quarterly giving. And you can set that up to happen automatically through your credit card or your bank account. The easiest way to do that is to go to that website shown at the very bottom of your pledge card there, giving.younglife.org/BoonvilleIN. Now, none of those websites, in my experience, is ever really easy. but it's not too hard, and it is a good way to get it set up. And it's also a good way, if you do it that way, that then the commitment you've made, you're going to make it, and you're going to keep making it. Finally, I want to say this. We are asking you to do what you are moved to do and what you can do to join us in this movement and support this ministry. We want to begin a long-term relationship with you here tonight, because our challenge is not just to restart this ministry, but it's to continue it year over year. We're going to need you, and we're going to need those other people that you're going to invite to come with you next year, and those other people that you're going to tell this story to when you're having coffee or run into somebody on the square or playing golf or wherever you run into them. This is a story worth telling. Please take time now to complete your pledge cards. And if you want to get your phones out, this is the time you can do it without being rude. We're going to have some music while you do that. We're going to allow 5 minutes or so. And then we ask you to stay in your seat when you're finished. We're going to close with prayer, and then we'll adjourn. Thank you again to all of you for being here. Thank you.